Negative cycle of resentment. Um, the first one is rejection or rejected. We feel pushed away, rejected, ignored, insignificant. And tell me, who doesn't feel all this after betrayal? When we feel rejected, we feel resentment, which what we wind up doing is blame. We bring on the victim mentality. When we resent, we resist. So what we do is we avoid, we disengage, we pull away. When we do that, we're emotionally disconnected, and oftentimes here comes in revenge. And revenge is behavior or words that act unkindly towards the person we have the issue with. And then the last R in this is repeat. So there's resentment, resistance, revenge, repeat. That's the resentment cycle. Resentment, what is it? It's bitter indignation at having been treated unfairly. And if you've been betrayed, you have been treated unfairly. It's a complex variety of emotions that include anger, disappointment, disgust, fear, injustice, humiliation, etc. It's a negative emotional reaction of being mistreated. Resentment, if not addressed, could lead to obsessing over the event that caused intense emotions. Now, let me just tell you something, and I don't want to stop reading because then I deviate, and I don't want to waste your time with my nonsense thoughts of deviation. But if you have any ADHD, PTSD, extreme anxieties, all this other stuff, this just adds more complex layers onto how you obsess over this whole thing. So just keep cognizant of that. Recurring negative thoughts may come raging in and linger for long periods of times, and sometimes could be years, decades, or our entire lifetime if we are not proactively working to rid them. We feel resentful not over necessarily what happened, rather the belief we attached to the offense. Now, I know a lot of people are probably tuning out right now saying, okay, this guy's crazy. And well, A, you're right, but I am onto something because trauma is not what necessarily happens to us. It what happens within us. So two people could see the same traumatic event. One person could be traumatized and the other person not. It's how we attach that. It's our own belief system, which is why I say all the time, please focus on facts of the betrayal, not feelings, because your feelings will lead you down a dark road every time. When we resent, we are making ourselves a victim of the circumstance. When we are a victim, we're giving away our power. It's imperative to try and change our belief from this shouldn't have happened, which is playing the victim and giving away our power, to what lesson or benefit did I get out of this, which is going to put you into the driver's seat, the empowerment seat. Resenting your spouse or significant other, or whomever, is an unfortunate reality of every relationship. Doesn't matter if it's your parents, your creator, your boss. You could even have resentment towards yourself if your body has betrayed you. Whether you think your partner or whoever you betrayed you is coasting by while you do all the hard work, not respecting you as an equal, driving you mad with their loud chewing, and most certainly, because of the betrayal that happened, sources of resentment aren't too hard to come by in life. They just aren't. But just because the emotion is unavoidable doesn't mean that the negative repercussions have to be. This is hard work, folks. It's really hard work. Sometimes it's 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. And for some people, again, depending on your attachment style, your love language, your previous anxieties or PTSD or CPTSD or what have you, it makes this a lifelong journey, which sucks. But the alternative is worse because, I always say trauma is like lava. It destroys everything in its past. And if you have trauma within you and you don't deal with it, it's going to destroy everything in its path. Many couples go for weeks and months and beyond, letting things build up. Resentment is a silent killer in all relationships. When you don't discuss resentment, which occurs in relationships, it eventually can build up to the point of avoidance and disconnection. And Lord knows we don't need any more disconnection, especially if we're trying to reconcile after betrayal. You'll start rolling your eyes, keeping score of who done what, and all kinds of unhealthy relationship behaviors. We become scorekeepers. Causes of reactionary resentment can include everything from built up anger, injustice, jealousy, and insecurity. Insecurity plays a huge role in betrayal. I mean, holy crap, but that's a whole nother class. They can be incredibly powerful, and if ignored, will only get worse. So what can you do in the moment from resenting your spouse or whoever hurt you? Number one, regroup and fact check your thoughts. So techniques helpful in these situations include awareness, like taking a break and fact checking. So first ask yourself, do I feel this way because of what is happening now or because of what happened in the past? Am I pulling stuff from the past into this current situation? Because again, people give us pain, we give ourselves suffering. Then tell your partner you need a break. You just need a few minutes alone during which you can self-soothe however you choose. And if your partner's not around and you're angry towards them, tell yourself you need a break from your thoughts. Don't believe everything you think. Take a few minutes alone during which you can self-soothe however you choose. You can deep breathe, you can count, even watching a funny video on TV or your phone. Once you regroup, you need to check the facts. Examine your thoughts for always and never statements that are influencing your resentment. Like she or he always points out my shortcomings in front of friends. You'll likely find that those statements or those sentiments can be distortions, meaning you'll probably be able to think of situations in which your partner did not mention a shortcoming in front of friends and family. They probably shared qualities about you that they like instead. You just didn't pick it up because you were so hyper vigilant on seeking out only the bad that they do. This approach will help you remember that your relationship is much bigger than whatever current stressor is causing your resentment. Number two, figure out your feelings. First stop, and whatever you're doing, count to 10. So much of healing from trauma is, holy crap, it's just stopping your thoughts, these consistent, constant, annoying, pesky, traumatizing thoughts that we cycle and replay, which makes us frustrated at the person who betrayed us, because it's like, if they didn't betray us, we wouldn't have to do all this work. But unfortunately, if somebody breaks your legs, that sucks. You still have to put in the work to learn how to walk again. All right, and do this, count to 10, whether you need to step back and count to 10, count to 100, then grab a pen and a piece of paper and jot down your feelings of resentment. Do this quickly and precisely as possible, and concentrate on how you feel you're being treated unfairly. 9 times out of 10, you realize you're treating yourself unfairly, and it's sad because other people hurt the hell out of us. They really do. But then we wind up hurting ourselves even more. And we're supposed to be our own advocate, our own best friend. Some examples are when we have guests for dinner, you sit and chat and drink and never get up to help me. This could be some of the thoughts that you have about your spouse. Every time we have friends over, you never get up to help me. You seem oblivious to the work that I'm doing, day in and day out. Or, I thought we were both going to share the yard work. When was the last time you asked me how my day was, etc. I mean, we put all these thoughts into our head, and maybe some of them are accurate, but if our partner doesn't understand or understand how we feel, and we don't share our thoughts, I mean, then we're doing we're putting them on trial and convicting them without even hearing their defense. Once you have words to describe your feelings, you can go to your partner calmly and ask to find a mutual time to discuss the situation. Above all, emphasize that you don't want to fight. Instead, you want to determine how similar incidents can be better handled in the future. And if you're not with your spouse, or you're not reconciling, or it wasn't a spouse who betrayed you, these are the things you have to work out within yourself. And I'm telling you something, talking to yourself after betrayal is not crazy. 3, vent into a friend's voicemail. If you have a friend that you can do this with. So express your resentment towards your partner by calling a good friend and venting into their voicemail. Establish some guidelines with a dear friend that you're going to use their voicemail as a way to process through your big feelings, and invite feelings as well. This is not to be used, however, to unload all of the garbage of your betrayal, just the hurt or resentment in the moment. So example could be you call a friend up and it goes to voicemail and you say, oh, if he leaves the top off the salt one more time, I promise the next time you'll see me, you're gonna see me with an orange jumpsuit on. The key is that the two of you need to make an agreement that each of you will only listen and not give advice or try to fix the other friend's emotional dump. It feels so soothing and brings a tremendous amount of clarity when you share the stories with a friend who is always both your partner and your friend. So they're not here to take sides necessarily. They're not here to give you any advice. They're just there to listen. Again, if you're not with your partner, wonderful. And if you don't have a friend to do this with, ignore this technique. Number 4, and I was going to say, after you leave that voicemail on your friend's thing, you can always come back and investigate what was going on during that talk, and certainly talk about your triggers with your spouse at a later time. Again, if you're with your spouse or reconciling. Number 4, make the internal external. So try sitting down, because in stressful situation, our brain goes into fight or flight mode. That's a sympathetic. And so basically, physically sitting down, what it does is it tells our brain that we don't want to get into a fight and that we don't need to run or flee. You can walk around or pace, but sitting down will absolutely allow your body to slow down. Your body will say, well, wait a minute, if I'm sitting down, I'm not really in any impending danger. I don't have to run. So maybe this isn't really a big deal. And then your sympathetic will kind of talk to your parasympathetic, and this will start the process of calming your nervous system down. Then take a few long, deep breaths. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth, like we did at the beginning of this class. This will stop the production of the stress hormones, especially cortisol, which is responsible for getting you all fired up in the moment. Don't text, email, or Lord knows, don't post anything on social media. Instead, talk out loud to yourself or write your feelings down privately. Let out what's going on in your head, but not in ways that can be deleted or come back to harm your relationship. So many times we get in a certain trigger that's momentarily heated in the moment. But as you know, once something is out there, it's out there in the ethos, to come back at any point. So just be careful. And this is also with telling your friends about betrayal. Oftentimes you tell your friends about the betrayal because, hey, you want to vent, you're seeking safety, security, you want, allies. But what winds up happening is that if you decide to reconcile with your spouse, or even if you don't, it very could come back to hurt and bite you in the butt in the future. So just be careful with that. Number 5, observe your feelings and practice gratitude. I cannot stress enough how gratitude after betrayal is a life changer. Resenting a partner, especially during after a betrayal, is common. The key is having the tools to manage those unpleasant feelings and to prevent any significant damage occurring to cause lasting harm to the relationship. And if that's not a relationship you're working on with your partner, the relationship you have with yourself. Start with self-compassion. When those feelings of insight begin to manifest, adopt a stance of self-love and non-judgmental awareness. Recognize that the feeling is starting to bubble as if you were an objective observer of your own feelings. So take a minute to practice gratitude. Can also do wonders for your festering resentment, acknowledging all the things that are in your life for which you are grateful. And trust me, you have a tremendous amount to be grateful for. The mere fact that you're breathing watching this class can be grateful, because I can't tell you how many thousands of people don't have the opportunity to watch a class like this, and that toxic volcanic lava is eating away at their insides with no help, no resources, no outlet. Acknowledging all of the things in your life for which you are grateful, including everything your partner does. And again, if your partner's not around, this doesn't apply, But this could go a long way in diffusing a potentially toxic situation and help eliminate resentment before it has a chance to build up. And the reason I say this is so important because it's just like forgiveness. You don't really forgive people because you're clearing the plate for what they did, or you're clearing the slate that everything they did is okay. You are releasing yourself from toxicity. Same with resentment. Resentment just eats up at ourselves. So you want to make sure this is dealt with because you deserve peace. Number 6, describe how resentment is affecting your life. And this is important because it brings really awareness. So many times we walk around with unforgiveness and anger and hostility and resentment. If we just put a name to them, that's a life changer. Carrying a grudge against someone can weigh you down and affect everything in your life. Write down how you resent, what you resent towards the person who betrayed you. If you're carrying resentment, write it down. How has this resentment affected how you have relationship with other people? How has this resentment affected your ability to focus on your work or to get things done around the house? How has holding on to resentment affected your ability to get into a creative flow state? How has holding on to resentment affected you on your life, whether it's past, present, future? How has holding on to this resentment affected your attitude and beliefs regarding your own self or regarding your creator? How has holding on to resentment affected your health, physically, emotionally, mentally, etc.? Because once you see this, you can say, holy cow, this is real. I've allowed this to really affect, inflict, intrude on so much of my life. And again, other people give you pain, you give yourself suffering. Number 7, writing a letter to the one who hurt you can help you do the following. So this is writing a letter to the person who hurt you. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to give it to them or they're going to read it. You're just getting it from your mind onto the paper. You're releasing it. If it would help you, you could write as if you were telling your best friend what happened, or writing a letter to your younger self. Now, be honest and compassionate to all sides. When you're stuck in your mind, there's no chance to see it differently. Writing is like a prism. You're looking at the many angles of the situation. Writing is not about resolving, simply about accepting. And the first step to moving forward with any healing is acceptance. Speaking of writing, a last great technique that I'll share here is to write down all the reasons that you resent your spouse. Not how it's not before, how it's affecting you. Write down all the reasons that you resent your spouse. Once you've finished writing down all the reasons, it makes sense to hold on to your resentment. So what you're doing is you're writing down all the reasons why it makes sense to hold on to your resentment. Now it's time to look at the reasons for letting go. So think specifically of what you want to gain. Do you want to gain peace of mind? Do you want to gain self-compassion? Do you want to gain your life back? Do you want to gain wisdom and understanding? Do you want to gain joy? Do you want to gain putting down those walls so you can have a good relationship with your children or your neighbor or your friends? Or what do you want to gain? And when you see the benefits of letting go of resentment far outweigh the benefits of holding on to this resentment, now it's much easier to break up with your resentment. Because again, holding on to resentment, anger, unforgiveness, it's not doing much to the other person. Even if it's doing something, it's doing far more damage to you. And Lord knows you deserve peace. So very quickly, a few bonus tips are this: affirmations. Some affirmations are, I choose to let go of resentment. Simply, I choose to let go of resentment. The opposite of trauma is choice. So giving yourself a choice is powerful. I choose to let go of resentment. I want to heal. I choose to move on and heal. Another affirmation is, I believe so-and-so didn't intend to hurt me. They didn't intentionally, maliciously set out to hurt me, even though I'm devastated. So I choose to forgive them. Choice. Another affirmation is, I don't need an apology in order to forgive somebody and let go of that burden. Again, that's for you. I'm forgiving the person because I want to heal and I want happiness for myself. That's what I choose. to do. Again, it's a choice. So to conclude this class, I just want to say that you can let go of resentment, just like you can anger, unforgiveness. It's all a choice. You hold the key to your own freedom. You can come out of this happier and stronger, and you have the right to. Be compassionate towards yourself and practice self-care daily, hourly, if need be. Take it one day at a time at your own pace. Your freedom and happiness are well worth the trouble, and you are worthy. You deserve peace. You deserve healing. And you are strong enough to free yourself. Unfortunately, you are the only person right now that's going to, and I say that because I can give you the best information possible, but if you're not going to do much with it, it's not going to be effective. So you are the only person who can heal you. So if they have any questions, comments, thoughts, criticisms, tonight's lottery numbers, I'm all ears. If not, don't hesitate to reach out to me in the forum and or private PBT email, and I'm happy to get back to you. So I hope you got something out of this class. If you have any questions, I'm happy to be here. And until next week, God bless. Be your own best friend. Love yourself.